guys, and welcome back to my channel, Blue Nose Trading. Today I'm going to be working inside because I'm going to be doing some hand building on my countertop, and I'm going to be making a chicken planter that has a basis of a pinch pot. So let's get to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab a piece of clay, and then I'm going to work that clay into a nice even ball, and I'm going to smooth out any cracks that I see in the surface, because cracks just in general are a horrible thing. So I open it with my thumb and I pinch the pot out, and I'm using my palm to keep pressure on it as I shape my pinch pot and open it up and keep the walls even. I get my hand wet with a little bit of water and I smooth out any cracks that might be appearing, because like I said, cracks are the root of all evil. Now I'm going to get this rough rib tool and I'm going to make it really rough all the way around every side of my pinch pot. I know it's crazy, but making it rough is actually how you make it smooth. So now that I've smoothed it out, I'm going to go ahead and use my finger with just the tiniest bit of water to get rid of any more cracks. I'm going to do a little more additional shaping here, refining and shaping, shaping and refining, just really getting the shape that I want to start with whenever I go ahead to start sculpting more of my chicken's pieces. So I put it on the banding wheel to continue shaping it from every side, smoothing out any cracks as I go. You definitely, like I said 100 times, you don't want any cracks while you're doing this. It's going to cause major problems later. So now I need a slab, so I'm going to use my roller here and I'm going to roll out a slab. Do this in fast motion because it takes me a lot longer than we have time or patience to sit through and watch me roll out a slab. But once I have my slab, I'm going to go ahead and cut off all the uneven parts. And now I need to make a head for my chicken, so I'm going to start it with this sort of cylindrical shape and kind of go from here. I'm going to go ahead and stick it on the thing and shape it and size it out. When I connect these pieces, I want to smooth it out inside and out. There can be no cracks. No cracks should be the name of this video. And now I'm going to cut off some of this excess clay. Then I've got a shape that I want. I've got my jar of slip for this clay, and I'm going to go ahead and score and slip all the edges that are going to be touching each other here, just for extra security on this bond. So now I'm going to go ahead and attach that piece, and I'm going to smooth down the edges with my palette first, and then I'm going to use my finger to refine and smooth the edges and to even out the clay that's on the inside, because it's double thickness here unless we even it out really well. So I'm going to refine, remove any cracks that I see as they're forming. We just get rid of those right away. Use this egg crate to flip it over to keep the soft clay from getting ruined while I refine and smooth out any cracks or any imperfections on the bottom as I go. And I've determined that that's pretty much good to go. So now I'm just going to do some more shaping with my hands, really getting in there to make sure that I'm getting the shapes that I want. I'm applying pressure from my inner fingers to push the clay around and outer fingers to control how I'm shaping it. So now I'm going to sculpt some parts for my chicken. It needs a beak and it needs some eyes. So I'm not actually attaching these pieces right now. I'm just kind of lightly sticking them on so that I can kind of get a feel for what I want to create as far as like refining the sculpture. So I've got our little comb. This is actually going to be a female chicken, and I'm debating on if I'm going to carve eyes or going to stick on eyes. And for now I need to shape these eyebrows that we had kind of going on into eye sockets, and I definitely want to give her somewhat of a feminine eye since I said this is going to be the hen. So I gave her a little bit of a swoop off the end of her eye. I know it's not incredibly exciting to watch because I had to really... There we go. There we go. We got it flipped around now. We gotta go back this way. Sorry, this part here, you just go where you go because you just get into it and you keep going and refining the eye. Refining. This takes a long time, in case anybody was wondering, getting these just right. Just doing sculpture work. I'm using the rubber tool here to get the sculptural work and the details done, and sometimes I dip it in water. Alright, that's got where the comb is going to go. So I'm going to slip and score both sides. Go ahead and attach the comb. I'm going to let this one, since it's so tall, I'm going to let it sit for a second, and then I'm going to come back and refine it in a little bit after it's a little more well attached. Look it straight in the face and do a little bit more refining. So the next thing I want to do is her tail feathers. So she's a hen and not a rooster, so in my design idea she's going to have shorter tail feathers than the other pot that I've made, which was a rooster. And if you follow some of my other social media accounts, you might have seen that pot already. So I'm dabbling with the idea of doing it as one piece or stacking pieces, maybe doing them all separate and layering them in. And what I've decided is that I want to do them as just little nubs attached to the rim of the bowl and then kind of smooth in. So refine the nubs, get them on there, slip and score them in, smooth them into the bowl, and add another one. And I'm going to do 3 because art and working in 3s, and she has 3 bumps on the comb on her head, so this will kind of call back to that, as she has 3 tail feathers to match the 3 bumps for her head cone. So I'm going to go ahead and just slip and score, smooth these in, get them exactly how I want them, give her a good look over, looks good, doing what we want to do here. So now I'm going to shape out her wings, and I'm going to go ahead and go back into this comb and refine it. I'm adding a little bit of clay in the edges so that I can smooth that and make a good, nice, even connection there. And I'm just using the tiniest bit of water on my fingers to smooth everything together. And now I'm going to do a little more refining. I'm going to puff out her cheeks. I feel like that's nice and cute. Maybe I'll do something with the glaze on her cheeks too, now that they're all puffed out and well defined. And now I'm going to go ahead and add some details into these feathers. Just carve it in lightly. I might come back and carve it in deeper once the clay's in a new state. And now I'm going to go ahead and carve the wings in. I do want to try just leaving the wings carved in as a decorative piece on this one. If you saw my other chicken, I did the wings as separate pieces, so once I'm done I'll kind of see what style I personally like better. Now I'm just doing a little more nitpicking and refinement. How do I want all these things to sit? I'm going to smooth out the bottom real nice with my rubber rib, and then I'm going to go ahead and punch a hole in this because this is going to be a planter pot, and planter pots need holes. We only make functional planter pots around here. So she's all done. Really excited to see how she comes out in the end.
Thanks for tuning in this week, guys. I finished up making this chicken pot and I really like how she turned out. She's going to make a nice addition to my collection on the front porch. If you thought this video was interesting, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see weekly art videos, there's a new video every Friday at 5:30, so you can go ahead and subscribe below, and I'll see you next week.